7 o'clock Friday night, and I got a plan. By the end of the weekend, I'm trying to have this engine in the car. Not necessarily running, because I have a lot of electrical stuff to double check and go through. Probably a solid day's worth. I don't see all that getting done. But to get the engine in, I gotta finish fixing my oil pan. The oil pan was damaged in shipping. And to fix the oil pan, I gotta turn this engine upside down. I got assembly lube everywhere. I gotta get the valve cover back on and sealed up before I can flip it upside down. So I gotta paint my valve cover before I can flip my engine upside down and fix my oil pan. So we're getting all that ready, and I figured since we're having to hurry up and get this painted, get some other stuff painted too, we're gonna get epoxy on the hood hinges, some other brackets, prop rod, this engine mount bracket. Oh, and the steering wheel, we're gonna color match those faded, old painted areas of this really cheap steering wheel my wife bought installed. I know it looks funny with the headlights on and no fenders, but doing electrical tests, making sure my body, wiring harness that we ran through the frame rails, had to completely rewire, did a lot of moving wires around, had to make sure all that was good to go. Once the blue's on there, I'm going to take it back in here and I'm going to take some 400 grit sandpaper on this block, and I'm going to do what I just did to get it prepped on the face of these letters and just straight line block that thing across there. It'll give us a nice brushed aluminum finish to the letters. Then we'll apply the clear coat to the whole piece and see what that looks like. I got a black epoxy sealer put on really thick before the color went on. I'm really tempted to just leave it black, because that looks nice, right? It would be gloss. That looks like a light gray probably right now on your monitor, but once the clear coat went on, that would be a gloss black on the letters. Really tempted to do that, but I'm trying to stick to my plan. I got other polished aluminum items in the engine bay and stuff, so we're gonna keep going. Stick to my plan. Expose the aluminum valve cover. Oh yeah, I'm gonna like that better. Yeah, I'm glad I'm doing it. Yeah, that's gonna be better. That polished aluminum or brushed aluminum on the dark blue. It's really gonna look nice. sun's out. 10:08 Saturday morning. Had a pretty successful evening last night. Got everything done, plus a little more that we needed to get done. The valve cover is in there painted. In between bake cycles, I would come in here, clean every little part as we reassemble the car, painting all little brackets, cleaning stuff up, degreasing anything that's dirty. All that aluminum looks really nice. You can see this line I haven't cleaned yet, and this aluminum AC line after cleaning looks really nice. If you just spend a little time, very time consuming. So today's plan, we're gonna go in there and get our new valve cover, install it to the engine so we can work on the oil pan, take it off, put our new oil pickup on, reseal the oil pan, finish repairing the oil pan, and hopefully get a step closer to getting the engine back in the car this weekend. Doing my best, hardcore Henry. See what this looks like outside. Still got to take the tape off, of course, and put the gasket on. A little dab of RTV in the corners, like you do. But just so we have a visual, that's going to look just beautiful. I love it. Those are really cooked in there, bending my pliers. Whew. So I'll keep doing that. Get a little bit right in those corners. RTV, and I highly recommend the Honda Bond HT. That's the bee's knees of RTVs. All right, double check. Oh yeah, we're ready. Boom. I'm gonna find me a new set of bolts to install those to, and we'll do all that later, because right now I have got to get this valve cover on, sealed up, so I can work on the bottom, get the oil pan situated. So I know, like, this little bit of damage on this oil pan, you just get a new oil pan, right? Well, it's been on back order. That's why I'm putting the trouble into doing this, because it may be off back order at this point, but months ago when I was checking, you know, I was like, I'm not dealing with that over a little dented oil pan. I'm a body man. So I went ahead and roughed it out, got most of the dent out. It's to a point now where I know I can get the rest of it out. And so that's what I'm gonna finish doing today and get some paint on this oil pan, cut our hole for our bulkhead fitting. That's gonna be our drain, oil drain for the turbo, and reinstall that thing with a new OEM oil pan gasket. You can see this area I worked on, there was a little dent there. I've got it almost 100% flat. Now, the oil pickup was right here, and this was dented in pretty good to a point where you really kind of get worried about its ability to suck that oil up. So I wanted to make sure I could get it out. There's still a little bit of a dip right here, and you can see there's still kind of a smush in this area. It should be a nice rounded off curve all the way across, but you can see it bulging out here. It's still kind of smashed. So I'm gonna pull out the stud welder and try to pull us a nice edge here and get that tapped in. Try to get that shape back where it's supposed to be 100% and finish it up. So after going at that for a couple of more hours, I got that contour back. Doesn't dip in along that edge anymore. It's a pretty good little curve. So now we're gonna remove the oil pan. I'm gonna cut my hole from the oil drain, and we're gonna spray epoxy after a whole lot of cleaning with some degreaser. Repaint this oil pan. So here's the oil pan we repaired. I filled it up with some part solvent, as you can see. We've got no leakage. None of those little welds that we did to pull caused a small hole or a crack or anything. And the plug is sealing perfectly. If that solvent's not leaking, the oil's definitely not. So there's our painted oil pan. I didn't bother putting it in the booth. It's an oil pan. Who cares if it gets a piece of trash in it? While that's drying, I got my new oil pickup installed. A nice flat pickup. The old one was kind of knocked in a little bit. I cleaned off our surface for our new oil pan gasket. I put one last splash of assembly lube on our new rods and pistons in there. Make sure I wasn't starving our bearings on our first startup. And we also cut that hole for our oil drain. As soon as that's dry enough to handle, I'm gonna reinstall the oil pan and start getting ready to put the engine in the car, I think. And it's getting to be about 5:30 Saturday evening. I might call it a day. I might do a few more things. There's always a few more things to do on a project like this. So we managed to get the oil pan on after repairing it. Got our drain tube installed, bulkhead fitting neatly in place. So wrapping up for the day, and I got everything I wanted to get done. There's only a few little things to tidy up on the engine and finish putting in place once the engine's sitting in the car. But the one thing I did forget is I still haven't cleaned up the transmission. So I may go ahead and bust out the pressure washer. After all, it's not that big of a job. Oh yeah, that's why we like working on Civics. All right, got our transmission all cleaned up. So we're going to go ahead and put in our detent shifter springs from Speed Factory. Sunday fun day. Put a motor in.